Hello, welcome to Tech at Work Online. My name is Melissa Nelson. I'm an AmeriCorps member at Vermont Works for Women, and this is Tech at Work Online with Renee, Robyor. So Vermont Works for Women is a nonprofit in Winooski, Vermont, and we work with women, girls, and gender nonconforming individuals to help them achieve economic independence in their lives. And this takes a variety of forms for adults and youth. And for youth, it's primarily career exploration programs. So programs like this and some summer camps and things like that. So Tech at Work is a speaker series that we do for high schoolers and tech center students to introduce them to non-traditional career paths and people in those career paths who are successful in their fields here in Vermont, in our community, and to show them that anyone can pursue these careers who would like to. And so let's start the presentation. So today we will be talking about engineering with Renee. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone.
If you just want to start off by introducing yourself.
Hi, I'm Renee Robyor. I'm a Senior Principal Quality Engineer at General Dynamics Ordnance and Tactical Systems. We're in Williston, Vermont, and I've been at General Dynamics for 18 years now, 7 of which as a quality engineer for the Hydro 70 rocket program, and 11 years as a systems engineer, most of which was spent on the development of the F-35 Joint Strike Fighter gun system. So that was fun.
Wonderful. Okay. And how did you first choose this career?
Well, I was mechanically oriented growing up. I enjoyed building things and making things. In junior high school, I took a shop class and I loved it. And in high school, I was good at math and science. Teachers had recommended engineering. So my brother also inspired me. He was in the Air Force and I wanted to become an astronaut at one point. So that's how I got into engineering.
Okay. And I like how it started off in that middle high school range. So I think that's really applicable to our audience and the students who are seeing this, so they can know it starts now, but it also can happen later as well. So when did you know that this was the career path that you wanted? You talked a little bit about finding that interest in high school.
I don't know. Maybe it probably wasn't until senior year when I had to start researching schools, and I had other interests too. I loved to play tennis and I wanted to play ice hockey in college, so that played into which colleges I was choosing. Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute offered both of those things along with being a good engineering school. So, and I was accepted there, so I went there. And from that point on, I went where the opportunities presented themselves. So I'll bring up a little PowerPoint here and just give you a summary. I lived and grew up in Massachusetts. That's where I started out and went to college in upstate New York. Rensselaer is in Troy, New York. And my first job was in Colorado. And then my second job was in New Jersey. And my third job was in Southern California. And I also got my master's degree at University of Southern California there. And then my job after that was in Washington State. And then I finally moved to Vermont. So this is where I am now. Once I get my bachelor's degree, I got it in mechanical engineering. I had a friend who was from Colorado Springs, and she said there were a lot of tech companies out there. So I applied and found my first job there. I was at Centennial Technologies, and they did coding hard disks for computers. And I ran that process, and that's where Pikes Peak and Cheyenne Mountain is. It's a very beautiful area. Unfortunately, the company didn't last very long, and I had to find another job. So I was hired by the Naval Air Engineering Center in Lakehurst, New Jersey. And that is right here. And in Lakehurst, that's where the Hindenburg crashed, and that's Hangar 1 in the pictures there. What I did there is I purchased support equipment for Navy and Marine Corps aircraft, and a bunch of the different aircraft that I supported are in the pictures there. And I also lived not too far from the beach, so it was a nice place. I ended up getting married in New Jersey, and then my husband was in the Marine Corps. We moved to Southern California. That was my third job. And there, I was in Norco, California, and I provided calibration equipment and procedures and requirements for Navy and Marine Corps aircraft, again, the maintenance. And that company, or that Navy site, did tuition reimbursement, and there was a master's program available in the local area, so I was able to take courses and get my master's degree at the University of Southern California. So I also studied martial arts when I was in Southern California and received my black belt there. So that was pretty exciting. And then my husband was transferred to Washington State. So that is the third place there. I worked for Lockheed Martin Hanford Division in Richland, Washington. And I provided the processes and requirements necessary to clean up the Hanford hazardous nuclear waste there. This is the location where they built the first nuclear bomb that was dropped on Hiroshima in World War II. I didn't really work with the hazardous material or the nuclear material. I worked far away from that, but that's where we ensured everything was getting cleaned up. There I had an opportunity to learn systems engineering, which is a structured way of performing design and test. And then once I did that, I was able to teach the systems engineering course at Washington State University. So that was pretty fun. Then my husband retired from the Marine Corps and he followed my career. And I received a job at General Dynamics. At that time, General Dynamics was in Burlington, Vermont. And I was the lead systems engineer for developing the gun system in the F-35 Joint Strike Fighter. So I made sure the design and the test engineers had the proper requirements to design the system and maintain the budget for the tasks, and ensured all the reports and documentation were submitted to our customer. And here I had the opportunity to learn about Lean and Six Sigma, which are methodologies for making improvements in and eliminating waste from processes. So I received my certification as a Lean Six Sigma black belt, which is a different black belt. So that's interesting. And that's a title for someone who helps with those improvements and eliminating waste. So that was fun. And then General Dynamics moved from Burlington to Williston, Vermont. And then, let's see, I moved into the quality area. I became a quality engineer when they really didn't have a need for a systems engineer anymore. The design of the gun system was done. So I moved into a different job. And I studied and received certifications in quality. And I'm a certified quality auditor, certified supplier quality professional, and a certified manager for quality and organizational excellence. That's mainly just a lot of words for being open to learning new things and adapting to what was available. So this is the Hydro rocket system that I currently work on. And we work with suppliers all over the country and make these rockets to help our warfighters, help our soldiers. And that's the excitement there. And here's my contact information, and that will be available too if anyone has any questions and wants to ask them.
Thank you so much for sharing that. You have a really rich career path that you went on, and so much
Very fortunate.
And within engineering, you have a lot of experience from going from mechanical to systems to quality. So I think you really provide invaluable insight into engineering for these students. So thank you so much for sharing about the path you took to get to where you are now. What do you love most about your job?
I love working with my teammates. That's one of the best things. Usually it's the people. And we work together well. We have a wonderful team, and we all know what needs to be done, and we help each other out. This is probably one of the most important things an employer looks for too, the ability to work as a team. And if an employer feels you'll fit in with the team, they'll most likely be able to train you in any skills you may need if you lack in anything. And my favorite thing to do is make improvements, surprise. And when I see a process that doesn't work well, or if the team needs information that's not easily obtained, I enjoy making the process better or being able to capture the information in one place for the team to use.
How big is your team now?
I work with a team of, let's see, we have probably about 8 or 10 people just working on, if you look at the rocket, the back end of the rocket is the motor and the top end of the rocket is the payload. And I work with the payload team, and we deal with all the suppliers who handle that. So.
Wonderful. So thank you for sharing about what you love most. But on the flip side of that, what are the biggest challenges of your job?
Probably the biggest challenge is communicating clearly enough so that everyone that I need to coordinate with understands what I'm trying to say. Speaking, writing, even emails, you need to understand the people who are receiving the information, and you have to try to write it clearly enough so that everybody understands. And sometimes it's a big challenge. So they're coming from a different perspective sometimes, and it's good communication helps a lot. That's a big challenge.
Okay, and especially with the jobs that you're doing, I imagine communication is vital to getting everything
yes.
Okay, so what do you do on a day-to-day basis? What does a typical day at work look like for you?
Okay, coffee and donuts, and just kidding. No, we meet with a team. Actually, we sit pretty much in the same area, so we get to talk to each other every day on a continual basis if we need to. And we discuss all the tasks each person's doing, and does anyone need help? And we also have telephone meetings with suppliers to get their status, and are they having any issues? Is their production going well? We email or call my customer. In this case, it's the Department of the Army, and we get status on things that we submitted to them for approval. We provide information from any testing we may have done, and talk about any failures that may have happened. And we request approvals for process changes in the supply base. First of all, we review the changes requested by the suppliers and then post them for the customer to approve them. And we review and approve test plans and reports. We do failure analyses. We provide feedback to each other to make the documents better, make sure everything is clear. Again, more communication. And one thing that is important in any field is writing. So study well in your English classes, do well in writing. I know many engineers who focus more on the technical aspects of their career, and they don't do as well in writing, and they struggle. And so yes, writing is very important too. We do review and approve documents, and yes, paper is a big portion of engineering too, so you're going to be writing reports and technical papers. So we also monitor the supplier's production when we're not in lockdown like we are now. We travel to the suppliers and we talk to them in person. We also travel to our customer and have meetings with them. Always good to see them face to face and have that discussion. So on the phone, you can always put a face to a name. And that's a typical day.
Very busy typical day.
Yes.
Well, thank you for walking us through your day, though. It sounds like communication, again, is a really big part of what you do. And I like that you focused also that even though engineering, you may think math and science, writing is also a crucial component of that. So
yes, very important.
So part of Tech at Work, we we developed this series to showcase gender diverse professionals, because often there are some career paths where women and gender non-conforming individuals, and sometimes men, depending on the career field, are underrepresented in those careers. And so engineering is one of the ones that women aren't as heavily involved in. So part of this is to show them that women can pursue engineering and that it's a great career option. But have you experienced any challenges from being a woman in a non-traditional career path?
Well, as I've seen in my career, I think the genders are starting to balance out,
Okay.
but it was mostly a male field. One of the tough parts that you'll have is convincing the employer that you can do the job. So have confidence. The rest is actually doing your job. So, and don't be afraid to ask questions. It's okay. You learn as you go along. Another challenge is working on a team. Be a good teammate or a coworker. It's a big thing. And see yourself as part of a team, not as a woman on the team. Don't see yourself as different in capability. Know that you have something of value to offer, and have a good work ethic. Work hard. And again, communication is a big challenge too. I have two big brothers, so it was easy for me to relate to the opposite gender. If you have brothers, that communication may be easier for you. If you don't have brothers or even male cousins, I recommend talking to others in your class. Get used to talking to boys, you, or anyone who may be different than you. As you go through school, if you have to work in teams, get on teams with a mix of people, and get used to working with them. And again, communication is a big thing. And being comfortable with who you are is important too. That exudes confidence. So if you're confident in what you do, that also spreads to the team, helps the team.
Thank you. That's excellent advice. I think for anyone, and especially for high schoolers. So thank you very much. Well, that actually goes into the last question here. Do you have any advice for these students? So these are mostly high schoolers who will be watching this.
If you're interested in something, research it. See if there are summer camps that offer something similar. I think UVM has an engineering tech camp. I'm not sure what level that is. Any businesses may offer tours, or if you know someone in your family or a family friend does something you may be interested in, ask them questions about it. Study hard, do well in writing class. Don't be afraid to try something you're interested in. When you're in college, don't be afraid to change your major. I know you may be struggling at what you want to do as a major. If you go in and you don't like what you're studying, change it. And be sure to talk to your advisor or someone you trust about that. That's very important. It's awful if you don't like what you're doing. And be open to trying new things in your career. If you have an opportunity that presents itself, take it. I mean, that's what happened in my career. You don't see it until after. Sometimes it's very daunting if you don't know about it, but try it and you'll acquire skills that will help you will help you be more valuable to your employers. You look good on the resume. So that's good. And in this age of social media, I would highly recommend that you be careful what you put on social media, because employers do look at that. So that's another thing to look for. Other than that, try to have fun with what you're doing, and hopefully everything will work out for you.
Wonderful, thank you. That's a wide array of all very useful advice. Thank you. Wonderful. So that's all we have for the interview. So just to wrap this up, if you are watching this with your teacher and your teacher would like you to answer discussion questions, here are a few discussion questions that you may want to answer. This is up to individual teachers, but these are the discussion questions that Vermont Works for Women is offering to pair along with the series. Thank you so much, Renee, for joining us.
Thank you. This was fun.